welcome to our channel Dr. Dark. Do you believe in the existence of werewolves? Since the dawn of history, stories have been told about supernatural creatures that transform under the moonlight from humans into savage wolves. In this video, we will embark on a mysterious journey through time to uncover the truth behind 4 horrifying stories about real werewolves that shook the world. Gail Garner was born on January 18, 1573, and spent his entire life in the rural area of the French town of Dole. One day, he met a French woman, fell in love with her, and got married. However, she was not happy living in the countryside, as she was a city girl and insisted on moving there, so he moved with her. Gail couldn't adapt to city life after being accustomed to the quiet life in the countryside. His wife made great efforts to help him adjust, but he couldn't adapt. Gail lived a simple life in his small cottage, growing what he ate and eating what he grew. Now, he had to work in the city to provide a better life for his wife, and over time, marital problems began to surface. Their arguments became almost daily, and in moments of anger, Gail would escape to his cottage in the countryside. At the same time, the city began to witness incidents of children being kidnapped at night. The residents searched for the missing children in vain until the parents resigned themselves to the idea that their children had disappeared. They headed to the forest, where they discovered traces of blood and evidence indicating that the children had been killed. No one knew who was doing this or why. As the residents ventured further into the forest, they found Gail walking on all fours like an animal, carrying a dead child in his jaws. When they approached him, he growled menacingly. They waited until he calmed down, then surrounded him. Gail confessed, saying, "I was hungry and had to feed my wife, so I made a pact with the devil to turn me into a wolf." He admitted to killing and eating 4 children aged between 9 and 12. After his confession, he was sentenced to death by burning. He was tied to a wooden stake and set on fire while still alive. Before we continue, if you like the video, subscribe to the channel and share the video so we can continue creating more stories. Manuel Blanco was born on November 18, 1809, and grew up in the Spanish mountains. He had a difficult childhood, as his parents raised him as a girl under the name Manuela, dressing him in dresses and teaching him to behave like a girl. When a doctor visited and explained the error of this behavior, his parents decided to raise him as a boy and changed his name to Manuel when he was 8 years old. However, this experience left a deep impact on his psyche. Manuel was an ordinary-looking person, of average height, with blonde hair, tan skin, and brown eyes. He later married a woman who worked in the clothing industry, and he loved her deeply, but she died just 1 year after their marriage. Her death was a severe psychological shock for Manuel, so he left the city and started working as a traveling salesman across Spain. However, he failed to achieve any financial success and became indebted. Later, Manuel worked as a tour guide in the mountains of Castilla, Spain, using his detailed knowledge of the area. This knowledge made him capable of easily luring his victims. Suspicion grew around him after 9 people who accompanied him went missing, most of them women and children. Upon investigation, it was discovered that Manuel was kidnapping, killing, and eating his victims. He also made soap from their fat and sold it as a tourist souvenir. Although he was suspected of being involved in 20 murders, the authorities could only prove his responsibility for the deaths of 9 victims. During the investigation, Manuel claimed that he transformed into a wolf during the attacks and that he could not remember what he did in that state. In 1853, Manuel was sentenced to life imprisonment. A French doctor living in London, Dr. Philippe, took an interest in Manuel's case and studied it for 8 years before Manuel died of natural causes. Dr. Philippe published several studies on his condition, confirming that Manuel was not just a werewolf but was indeed the first serial killer in Spain's history. In southwestern France, there lived a boy named Grenier, who was 13 years old. Jean lived on a farm that witnessed mysterious events, where children would disappear as soon as they passed by. One time, a child vanished from his mother's basket while she rested her eyes for a brief moment. No one suspected anything until Jean met a beautiful girl who worked with him tending to the cattle. The girl was 18 years old, and Jean told her he wanted to marry her. The girl laughed and mocked him for his untidy appearance, to which Jean replied that the dirt was the remnants of skin that had stuck to him when he transformed into a wolf the night before. The girl thought he was joking until he began to tell her about his strange adventures, saying, "I am part of a pack of 9 wolves, and this week we conducted several hunts on the farm." When the girl heard these words, she ran to the police and told them everything. When they apprehended Jean, he did not resist but confessed to everything without any coercion, sharing his entire life story. Jean was born in 1590 to a father who treated him violently. Unable to endure the abuse any longer, Jean ran away from home and found himself begging on the streets. He met another homeless boy named Perrin, and they became friends. Perrin revealed to Jean a secret about obtaining the most delicious meat and took him to a forest where they met a strange elder. The elder kissed Jean, marked his thighs, and gave him a wolf's pelt, instructing him to hunt at night and fill his hungry belly with human flesh. Jean's first victim was a 3-year-old girl, and since then, he could not forget the taste of human flesh. He lost count of the victims he disposed of and consumed, unable to provide an accurate number. When Jean was brought to court, he was not sentenced to death due to his young age. The judge believed Jean was possessed by a demonic force after hearing about the elder and the mark, so he sent Jean to a monastery to be close to God, hoping the possession would be exorcised. However, this did not happen. Several years later, a visitor came to see Jean and was shocked by what he saw. The boy was standing on all fours inside a pen, his nails were long, and he was making sounds like a wolf. He ran on all fours faster than on his 2 legs. No one at the monastery could trim his nails or give him a bath because he would attack them each time. He only ate raw meat, leading the elder to believe he was feigning illness to eat expensive meat. Jean died in 1611 at the age of 21, and neither the elder who supposedly turned him into a wolf nor the boy who led him to the elder was found, suggesting these figures might have been figments of his imagination. Nonetheless, a girl claimed she was attacked by a boy and his brother, but her claim was never proven. In 1692, in the Swedish city of Livonia, now located in Latvia, a group of people was arrested for stealing items from a church. During the trial, one of the witnesses was an old man named Thies. After the trial ended, Thies decided to confess to crimes he had committed while being a werewolf. He admitted to attacking farms, killing, and stealing animals. The townspeople had reported to the authorities about animals being killed in a brutal manner, suggesting that the killer was a wolf. However, there were no wolves in the area, and it was unlikely that wolves from other regions would come solely to attack these farms. Thies confessed that he had been attacking farm animals for 10 years before deciding to retire. He explained that although he hunted the animals in a savage manner, he was a civilized werewolf who roasted the meat instead of eating it raw. Thies recounted that he came to the city with nothing and began begging. He spent the money given to him by kind-hearted people on entertainment and drinking. One day, he met a man in a similar situation who offered him a glass of wine. After drinking it, Thies gained the ability to transform into a wolf at night. He also spoke about demons, hell, and magic. Since he had not killed any humans and only preyed on animals, the judge ordered that he be whipped and then banished from the city. Did you enjoy this terrifying journey through the world of werewolves? Your engagement motivates us to provide more thrilling content. If you have any questions or requests, please feel free to leave them in the comments. If this video receives enough interaction, we will present a second part revealing more astonishing facts about werewolves.